Hey everybody, I'm Sean Walker from iTrain Hockey. I'm just going to focus on tying skates right now and just teach you guys how I like to tie my skates. The first 3 or 4 layers I really keep quite light. I barely tie them at all. I don't like them being too loose so that they're kind of flapping around or anything like that, but I keep them really loose. I barely don't even touch them at all. As soon as it gets into that 4th and 5th layer, I like them nice and snug. If they're anything more than snug, then what I'm finding actually on the ice is that it starts to really press into the sides of my foot, or even just the top of the foot as well too, and it just becomes too tight. So I just like to keep those, again, 4th and 5th layer nice and snug. And then the last 2 to 3 layers, I really like keeping them quite tight just because I like the anatomical fit that skates offer, and I like it being tight. It just offers me more ankle support, control of my edges when I'm actually out on the ice. So especially that top layer. Sometimes I'll even like tie it and then retie this very last one and get just like really squish my foot around quite a bit while I'm holding and keeping tension on the last lace. And then whenever I tie them, I always like tying them with 2 knots. And what I'll do is actually grab both the loop and the single lace for both sides, and I'll tuck them both underneath, just so that when I'm actually playing in my game, the second knot, I obviously don't keep it too tight, so it's really difficult for me to untie them, but I don't want them coming undone. I've never once had an issue where I've been on the ice in a game or a practice and they've ever really come undone. They might just get a little bit loose here and there, so I'll really quickly tie them up, and it's always just those last 2 layers I just like really tight. And then the last thing I always do, just as like an aesthetics thing, I always tuck in my either tracksuit or a track jacket, pants into the heel, but I never do it onto the front, so just like covering up that side. And it just also provides, if this was over top like this, sometimes if these were obviously not as loose as they are, but if they're a bit tighter, then I can't really move my ankle as much because it's adding some tension there. So I always tuck it in. And I do the same in my games as well too, where I have maybe the shin pad not quite over the tongue, but I do definitely like having just like this nice and open, having the back heel open, and then covering up the toe, just as an aesthetics thing. But then also practically, it's just nice and comfortable as well too. Full mobility of my ankle helps provide that. Okay, and for untying my skates, what I'll always do is take out that first layer, that first top layer. I'll pull the string, and then whenever I untie them, I know this is pretty simple and pretty basic knowledge, but I always try to bring this single lace as close as I can, not too close, to the very edge. And then I just bring them always forward and bring them towards you, go into that second layer, pull them away. These ones will get smaller, these ones will get bigger, and again, you pull them towards you. And it's just a nice, easy way for us to keep all of the layers from crisscrossing once you bring them back forward, just like this. And again, those maybe last 2 or 3 layers you don't really need to untie so much. And then you pull on the tongue, pull on the heel, and that baby will slide off nice and easy. Okay, last thing I'm going to say just about tying and untying skates. A lot of people always talk about this very top layer, and sometimes they actually don't put the laces into that top layer. And for me, I've tried it once or twice before as a kid, and it's just never really been an option. I really like it being really tight and molded to my ankle because of all of the movements that I'm doing on the ice. I just need that extra ankle support. But I know other people's preference is to have a little bit more or less ankle support and more mobility. But for me, I feel like I can do just as much with that top layer tied up as what I can if that top layer wasn't tied up. I think a lot of it is like the ankle flexibility sort of movements that I do when I'm on the ice. Really used to using obviously my outside edge and rotating my ankle over and used to all those movements while having like a tight hold on my ankle. So that's just my preference, but I know other people have their own. So if you'd like, definitely try out the 2, but I highly recommend tying it all the way up to the top. Some people's foots are shaped a little bit differently, but not that far different, right? Some are a little bit more narrow, or some are a little bit longer, obviously. And the best thing to do that is just to make sure that when you're purchasing the skate, mine is a size 9, D, so D just meaning the width, and mine is like a fairly skinny foot. And again, I like it fairly tight, so so D is sort of that minimal amount of width. And then you can get E and double E, and obviously it gets a little bit wider as well too. So I think that's the best way to, if you're feeling like, oh, I need more space or there's not enough space in here, just gain a little bit more width on that when you're actually purchasing your skate. And then the last thing I'm going to say is I always use wax laces, just because those last 2 or 3 layers that I was telling you about that are like really, really tight, as I'm tightening them, it's just like kind of annoying if you tighten them and then they loosen up really quickly. So the default laces that they always come with, that skates always come with when you first purchase them, I get rid of those pretty quickly and I just go straight to the wax laces. That's actually something I've always had, white wax laces. Just a clean version of a nice pair of skates, or laces, I should say. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and yeah, submit your own videos as well too. Let me know how you guys like tying your skates, and we can comment on those. And if you have any questions, let me know.